This video is to demonstrate the two-point perspectives that we covered in class on Wednesday night. Start a new drawing from scratch. I'm going to use imperial units. I'm going to change my units to architectural. Change my limits to 100 feet by 100 feet for the upper right hand corner, and I'm going to set up two layers, a construction layer and another layer for the grid. I'm going to set the construction layer to a different color than the grid layer. I'm going to leave the grid layer black, and I'm going to use a really light line weight for the grid. And for the construction layer, I'm just going to have it set to no plot. So I'm going to keep the construction layer my current layer for right now, and close the layer manager and start to lay out some line work. So to begin with, we're going to do the same exercise that we did in class with a building that's 10 feet by 10 feet. So I'm going to create a rectangle that's 10 feet by 10 feet, and then I'm going to create a picture plane by just drawing a line. I'm going to take the rectangle, move it so the corner or the edge of the rectangle is at or on the picture plane, and then rotate it at whatever angle we want to be able to see the building or the 10 by 10 box in. So I'm going to do something about there. So that way we'll be focusing a little bit more on this side, and that side's going to foreshorten a little bit more quickly. All right, next we want to determine where we want to be relative to the object that we're looking at. So I'm going to use the point command to place a point a specified distance from the picture plane. But before I do that, I want to change my point style. So type DDP type. I'm going to change my point style to any one of the ones that I know I'll see clearly. And I'm going to set the absolute size in units to 5 units instead of setting it to relative size to screen. Hit OK. Right now I can type in point, PO, and from anywhere on the picture plane, if we want to go directly from the measuring line, I'm just going to drag in this direction and put in a distance of 35 feet. So there's my point, there's my station point. And what I want to do now is determine where my vanishing points are going to be based on my building position and where I am from relative to the building. So I'm going to use the line command, go from the station point. So I may need to add node as an O-snap. So I can go from my station point, and I want it to be parallel to this line. So if I hold down the Shift key, right click, and choose parallel from the list, hover over that edge of the building, and then track back until my line snaps onto a tracking angle. That angle is now parallel to that edge of the building. So this would put our vanishing point way over here. For the other direction, I want to start this over again and type in line, going from the station point. For the second point, I want to right-click, shift, and right-click, and choose parallel again. Track from that line back until this line is parallel, and there's my other vanishing point on this side. So from 35 feet, the position of these two vanishing points seems about right. And if I just want to change the position of where I am relative to the building, I can move both the station point and the two lines that I've drawn either to the left or to the right to make adjustments as well. I'm just going to move this slightly to the right so that my station point isn't directly across from my measuring line, and that way we're focusing a little bit more on this side of the building. All right, next we want to define where the measuring points are going to be. So I'm going to use the circle command, and using this intersection as the center of my circle, I want the circle to go through my station point, and I'm going to repeat that from the other intersection where the vanishing point meets the picture plane and go through my station point. These 2 points here and here are going to be my measuring points. So it looks like we've got everything figured out. We know where our vanishing point is, our measuring point, and vanishing point for both left and right sides. Now what I want to do is start to set this up in perspective. So I'm going to move this whole drawing up a little bit. Looks like I missed my station point. Just kind of going to move it up and over so I have enough room to put my perspective down here. And this circle is going to kind of be in my way, so I'm just going to use the trim command. We can trim that circle so that it's not in my way. Alright, for the perspective, I want to create a line. I'm going to hover over this endpoint and drag straight down to start the line. And then I want the line to be a specific length, so I'm going to make it 200 feet. I'm going to divide that line, div, select the line, and for every foot I want to create a point, so I'm going to divide it into 200 segments. On top of that line, I want to offset whatever my horizon line is going to be, and this should be equal to your height. So I'm going to do 5 feet 6 inches. There's my horizon line, there's my ground line. Next I want to project all of these points that we have hitting the picture plane down onto my horizon line. So I'm going to use the line command to snap to the intersection, project down to the horizon line, snap to the intersection of the measuring point, go down to the horizon line, and repeat that until I have all the critical points located on that horizon line. Using the point command again, I'm going to place points in these 4 locations that were projected from the top plan. And then I can just get rid of these construction lines. Alright, next I want to project the corner of the building that's coming into contact with the picture plane. That's going to be our vertical measuring line. So I'm going to use the line command and project that down to the ground line. Now you notice that the ground line and where our vertical measuring line isn't lining up with a node. I want that to line up with a node. To there. There we go. Because these we want to keep in the same spot because they've been projected from above. So now I have this node on the ground line and the vertical measuring line aligned. I want to take the vertical measuring line and let's set this at 10 feet. So I'm going to do lengthen, total length, 10 feet. And I'm just going to snap closer to the end point of the line on top. That will chop off the rest of that line until it's 10 feet long here on this side. And then we're going to use divide, select the line, and divide that into 10 equal segments. Alright, I'm going to switch to the grid layer and start to lay out the actual lines that are going to find the top and the bottom baseline of the building. So making sure you can see all your vanishing points and measuring points. We're going to use the line command and go from the top of the line to our right side vanishing point, to the bottom of the building, to the left vanishing point, to the top of the building. So you see how prominently we're going to be able to see this side of the building, which matches our estimate here, since we put ourselves more across from the center of the building rather than at the corner. Alright, next we want to be able to figure out how far 10 feet is going to be in this direction. So that direction is actually being controlled by this baseline. This baseline's measurements are all done through this measuring point. So I'm going to switch to the con layer, and using the ray command, I'm going to go from my measuring point through the 10th node in this ground line. So we're going to count out these nodes. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10. Click through that node, and where that line crosses the baseline of the building, switch to the grid layer, is where the 10-foot width of the building is going to be on that side. So now I just want to trim the rest of these lines away, and we can get rid of this measuring line now. So we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side of the building. I want to define where 10 feet is going to be from here back. I want to use this measuring point and go through the 10th node on this side. So I'm going to switch to the con layer, type in ray, go from this node through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and where that crosses this edge of the building is going to be where I'm going to create my line to define the depth of the building in that direction. So this should be on the grid layer. And I can trim away everything else. We can get rid of that line. All right, now to create the grid on the face of the building, if we go through our measuring point in both directions, so I'm going to start off on this side using the ray command, go from the node through each one of these points. Everywhere these lines hit the baseline of the building, I'm going to draw a vertical line on the grid layer. The nodes. Now I've defined each one of those points on that face. I can get rid of those measuring lines. From this measuring point, I'm going to go through each one of the nodes to define widths or depths in that direction on that side of the building. So use the ray command again. Actually, switch to the con layer. Use the ray command again. Go from the node on this side through each one of the nodes. Looks like there we are. Now I want to switch to the grid layer and go through each intersection on that side. And that looks like that didn't quite go up all the way. There we go. So we've got all that, the depth in that direction going towards the vanishing point defined. Now to get the heights defined, I want to zoom back out far enough so I can see both of my vanishing points. And on the grid layer still, I'm going to use the ray command. Going from the node, I'm going to go through each one of these measuring points on the vertical measuring line. And that defines our height. So I want to trim those lines from here to here and get rid of all the lines that extend beyond those 2 points, making sure I don't erase my horizon line. And then to get the grid on this side, I'm going to go from the left vanishing point using a ray again and go through each one of those same nodes on the vertical measuring line. Using this line and this line as a trimming edge, we can get rid of all those rays like so. And now we're looking at an exterior 2-point perspective grid. If you'd like to see how the interior 2-point perspective grid is done, go ahead and open up the next video.